Hey Deckers! How you guys doing out there? What's going on? What's going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And how are you doing? What's the word? Wow, now that's new. Okay, sorry, I ended up in the big void of nothingness. What is going on out there, Deckers? This is Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, and welcome to the dark side of the room. Now, this is the show where we talk about gaming stuff and pop culture and all the things that make life bearable and worth living, especially in these times of the COVID-19s. So, of course, we've been doing this for a long time and all that stuff. But yeah, so I wanted to say, hey, what's up? We have a lot of stuff, and this show is going to be running longer than an hour today. I'm letting you guys know right now. I normally only do this for an hour a day, but we messed up our show yesterday, and there was some other stuff that was coming down, and I just want to spend a little more time with you guys today, in all honesty. Like, that is my number one thing. Let me get my hair in order, and let's do a little housekeeping. Now, if you guys want to say what's up and hello, you guys can do that in a few different ways. One of the ways is to pull up your keyboard and honestly, pull up your keyboard and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can hit us up on social media at Back in the Deck, and that's for Instagram and Twitter and all of those other places that you can do stuff online, because it's fun and jolly and happy, and isn't all that stuff fun? But if you are part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook, well, you can find just a little bit of respite at Deckers on the Book, and that is a place where Deckers of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, and all that stuff can get together and talk about what we're playing, how we're playing it, and everybody is welcomed as long as people aren't trying to take over the whole thing and turn it into what they want for the group, because there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and there's a lot of opinions that people can share and all that jazz. But the fact is, it's just nice to be able to go somewhere and be, and say, hey, look at what I'm building. Isn't this fun? And yeah, those are the places that you can get a hold of us on. Also, if you guys are interested in helping to support the channel, and I know, I hear that phrase all the time and I can't stand it, but if you guys are willing to help us out with a couple of things and to help us keep these doors open, because that right there, that is a big thing, really big thing. Keep the doors open, maintain the equipment, and all that jazz. You can do so in a number of ways depending on what means you have at your access. And that is, first off, you can subscribe to the page. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe with a tier 1 subscription for $0. Okay, it won't cost you a thing. I was actually doing some research on a particular Twitch person that was just like, man, she would just lay into her watchers and stuff, going, oh, well, if you don't have enough to freaking subscribe, you've made some terrible life decisions. Nah, you know what? I'm a 40-year-old man. I grew up in the hood. And I know that money don't rain down on everything, and what little money that we have to be really selective about what we spend it on, how we spend it, all those things. So, if you want to support us and be like, you know what, if I had the money, I would help you guys out, don't worry about it. Head on over to the little subscribe button right there on Twitch and subscribe, and they'll be like, hey, you can subscribe for free with Amazon. And you can do that, and that will seriously let Mr. Twitch know, it's really good. In truth, I would be in a good place if I got 5 people a month to do that. 5 people a month to just subscribe with their tier 1 Amazon thing, 10 people a month to do that would be amazing. Anything over, anything more than that, oh my god, I don't know what I would do with myself. Or if you're actually flowing that hard, if you've got a little bit of what's the term, a little bit of extra cheddar, a little bit of, I like to call it the COVID fund because it's hard to go out and spend money on anything right now, then head on over to patreon.com/BID_P, and that's the Back in the Deck Patreon. Now, for as little as $1 a month, $1, you can help us out on that. And that gives you access to polling and a whole lot of other things. One of the things that, we have six tiers, all right, 6 tiers, because, this is a thing about gaming, and what's more universal than cards. And if you end up on the royalty tier starting at Queens, then we give you a shout out at every single show, that we do. If we're live streaming gameplay, you get a shout out. If you get, if we're having the talk shows like we have Monday through Thursday, equipment willing, you get a shout out. Like the shout outs that I'm giving to our queen, Jamal Lee, our queen, Quinn, the Jen, Merrill, our first queen, Shannon, Boom Boom, Lay, and of course, we don't have any kings. Don't have anybody on the king tier right now. We don't have any kings in our hand, but we do got a couple of aces up our sleeves in Paul Mansfield and Jennifer Kroll, and those guys are huge. Hey, thank you, Miracles of Minimum Wage. You were awesome. Look at that. Yeah, breakdancing die. So really, thank you all for that. We're not a very big channel. I'm not looking to be the next PewDiePie because, 1, I don't play video games very often. 2, I like to talk about things that I enjoy instead of saying why things in the world suck. And 3rd, I don't have a problematic past. Now, or should I say problematic content as far as separating things. We're about welcoming people in. We're about talking about stuff that we like, and we're about doing stuff that we like. And I recently found out that our Lord and Master, the internet algorithm, does not put any energy into things that people like, at least into positivity on the internet. It was really interesting. There is a YouTuber named Jimquisition. His channel is called the Jimquisition, and he posted a video as to why he doesn't post, or why they, pronouns are still new to me, I'm in my 40s, why they don't post a lot of content about things that don't suck. And they show the receipts. When they talk about how this piece of popular media is terrible and it needs to be burned and purged from the consciousness of the entire planet to never be talked about again. It must be purged. It must be gone. It must be flayed and flogged and purged. They'll get like 1 million views on that video, and then when they pour weeks into weeks into looking at, hang on a minute, boom, and then they will pour weeks into a video about something that's awesome and that's good content. They'll get maybe 50,000 views, so it's interesting. And partly because the algorithm buries that stuff, partly because people aren't interested in what people like, and partly because of a lot of stuff. So, knowing that, I'm still going to focus on positive stuff. I'm going to be like, you know what? No, we going to do this. We're doing this like thing. Yeah, we're going to hang on. Nope. Harm, endangerment. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm using the ban hammer on a bot right now. Uh-huh. More options. There we go. Boo 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 boo. Malicious raid, revealing someone's Yeah, nah. Nah, no, 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 no. I'm gonna do that. There we go. Yeah, let's do it. Um, Here we are. Advertising. I hate having to do this. No, no, no. Advertising in the chat. There we go. Close. And done. Okay. Sorry guys, had to use the ban hammer on somebody. You know, buy followers kind of add there. So, if you guys are wondering, like, what is he doing? Why is he not looking at the camera and all that stuff? And that goes to part of today's housekeeping. So to let you guys know what we've been up to, yesterday we had a massive technical difficulty to where the broadcast software would not initialize. If you guys have computers, I don't know if you're watching this on your phone and stuff, but Windows ran an update. And you know, whenever Windows fixes something, they do it by breaking something else. And in a nutshell, our archive for the past 2 or 3 years, it didn't get fried, but the hard drive that Windows decided to repair now doesn't work on any computer that I have, regardless of the operating system that I'm running. I'm very put out. So I got that fixed. But again, that ended up, it was a $60 fix to begin with because I had to order another hard drive. So that should be coming tomorrow. But on top of all that, it interrupted the rest of the work that I was doing. As you guys know, if you've been with us a long time, I've been talking about our merchandise store forever. Okay, I've been trying to get this thing up. I've been trying to get this thing going. I've been trying to make things work. I gotta make it go, right? And I've shown you guys some of the things that I'm putting in there. Well, the merchandise store is going to be there, and it's also going to have some of our Patreon perks. So, as I've shown you guys, we've got these guys, these dice towers. You know, they're kind of gorgeous. You know, the back in the deck statuary dice towers. We've got the cinematic sorcerer minis that I've shown you pictures of. And now, and this is going to be mailed out. But first, let me check out who's in the chat today. Bree Bear, Vixen, Miracles, and Sofa King. Hey, Sofa King, cool. And thank you for showing up, Vixen. Hey, Bree Bear, Miracles, Minimum Wage. We got some of the old school people in. Thank you guys for still showing up and supporting. By the way, I gotta put the announcement out on the Facebook. Hey, we're live now, so tune in, you circus animals. Hang on. Nope, just a text story. I hate this. You know, yeah, Facebook gets on my nerves. We are live on twitch.tv/BID_P right now. Right now. It is right now. You know. So yeah, share that to the story. So yeah. So as I'm saying all this stuff, we are working on our merch and all that stuff, but I have to put it all together, and most of our stuff is hand painted. I'm still learning. Okay, so to keep you guys up on what we do, how we try and get it done, it's mainly me. This is what I'm doing. And, you know, in a nutshell, I have to know the streaming software, the editing software, the sound software. I have to look up what music can be used, what designs can be used, make sure that I'm not stepping on anybody's copyright, make sure that I'm getting a lot of people's credit in. Um, so this is just the basic stuff. Now for our merch, most merchandising comes in two flavors. Stuff that would go in an Etsy store, okay? Short run, short run creative things, or the stuff that you guys see on every single person's merch store. T-shirts, hoodies, keychains, because those can be outsourced. Like, I was looking at a company called Pen Wizards to do little BitP pens, um, and they're looking at like $200 for a decent amount of pens. It's just a matter of every single one of these things. You have to do your research. You have to learn your interface. As you guys know, I'm learning Roll20, so that I can do the live stream games, and I'm putting together more live stream games. Okay, a lot more live stream games, and that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of spinning plates. One of the things that I am putting together right now is our merchandise. So you guys have seen the dice rollers. You guys have seen the masks. Now know this. This is for the top tier patrons. This right here, this is top tier. Right now, we only got 2 aces in our hands right now. So this one and another one are going to our ace level patrons, along with everything that goes below that, which are the dice rollers, the cinematic sorcerer minis, and our new product that we finally got designed, and I got the first batch of them printed up. We have a little pop figure. Look at all this. Is this not adorable? Yeah, that's right. Show that. So I'm giving it just a tad bit of an overall paint job real quick so I could show you guys the thing in detail by the end of the show. I'm very, very happy with the adorable nature of this. And for this guy, I got some news for y'all. This is this month's Patreon perk for our queens. So all of the queens, such as Shannon Boom Boom Lay, Jamal Lee, Quinn the Jin Marrow. Yes, I have memorized their names. Everybody on the $20 a month tier and higher is going to get one of the cinematic sorcerer, the Lil Sol, not the cinematic sorcerer, but the Lil Sol desk decorators. Because, well, look at that guy. It's right there. So yeah, I'll be finishing these up and mailing them out by the end of the week. And next month, the turtleneck will be a different color. But I got to get these, painted up and finished. And don't worry, for the $10 a month people, you guys are getting, of course, the cinematic sorcerer miniature that I've shown you guys lots and lots of times before, along with the new BitP keychains. We've got 2 keychain designs. Keychain design 1 is the standard BitP keychain, and that is going out to our $5 a month patrons. And that's for last month. I'll be alternating between months for now, but the February one, it being Black History and all that stuff, you guys will get a tiny cinematic sorcerer keychain once I'm finished painting and putting little chains and all that stuff on there. And this is actually for the $5 a month patrons up. So just to show you guys what the kings are, or what the aces are getting, we're talking boom, 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 pachow, and the miniature. all this month. So and that's what I'm along with all of the other stuff. So um I'm doing a lot of work, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I love this little guy. I'm not gonna lie. And of course, our 3D designer that I was able to hire to get this thing going was so awesome. He did this really fast. And of course, next month, the turtleneck will be a different color, and we've got 4 different designs. Don't, if you guys really aren't familiar with Little Saul, um, we started Little Saul on one of our first shows, and I liked him so much that I'm like, dude, I need to market this guy. I need to get this guy out there. And yeah, that's him. Look at that. Oh, that's our Little Saul. Look at that guy. So with that particular thing, I just wanted to make sure that this guy, haha, you can have that in person. Look at that. Oh, so yeah, so that's what you guys are going to be getting this month. I'm very happy, very, very happy with the way these things have turned out. I just got to get the other 9 of them produced and painted and sealed and secured and all that stuff. And yeah, we got all that. So that is a lot that we're going down. Told you this show was going to be a little bit long today, but I want to keep you guys posted and keep you guys in the loop of everything that we're doing, along with why we're doing all of these things. So yeah, oh yeah, forgot. Yeah, cosplay props are also going to be part in the web store. And yeah, I'm just working on, really, I'm trying to make the website and the Patreon fair. The website has not been maintained very well. I have dropped the ball on that so hard. So hard. It's there's so much knowledge that you younger people out there have, and when I say younger, I mean people that were born in about 1985. Yeah, 85 and on, let alone the 90s. You guys have had a lifetime of training in using the internet and all that stuff because you've never known a world without it. And I am not part of that club. All this stuff came up after I was already an adult. And finding teachers when you're already an adult is difficult because there's an idea that, well, you're a grown up. These are things that you should already know. And it's like, where would I have learned? Especially when it comes to economic and social class. Because I didn't grow up in a house that even had a computer. It was so, so, so expensive to get a computer. And I mean, like, if you guys look in the Smithsonian now, you'll see the Apple IIc. That was top of the line when I was a kid. Yes, I'm old. And it being top of the line, it was $2,000 to $3,000 to get. And I want you to understand that when I was a child, when the Apple IIc was out there, minimum wage was less than $4 an hour. Okay? And college tuition was about $2,500 for all 4 years. Okay? $2,500 for all 4 years. That comes down to about $600 a year for college. All right? So things have changed. So, back then, a computer costed about as much as college tuition did. So if you did the equivalent, the desktop that I run this show on would cost $65,000 to $120,000. I mean that's scary. So I'm running a little behind, but I'm spending most of my waking hours every day trying to catch up on that while taking care of my mom, while answering emails, while designing more stuff. It's a lot. So your guys' support is really appreciated. But let's get let's get to today's subject. Today's subject is interesting for me. Because I wanted to put out there today a couple of things that I know, like I see, I know, I experienced, I've done in a lot of different ways, especially in game. All right. Now, today's topic, let me find my notes here. Today's topic is a big one. And I know it's, I always talk about big stuff. I know I'm not a small thinker. Okay. But yeah, I want to talk about character goals. Okay. Character goals. Now, when folks play a role-playing game, okay, people who game a lot tend to forget the stuff that I want to talk about right now. But give me just a second here. I'm just gonna pull up Lil Sol, and I'll be right back. Yeah. All right. So, as I said, I want to talk about character goals. I see a lot of D&D videos. The amount of research I do, as far as putting these shows together, what we're going to talk about, what has been talked about, I watch a lot of them. And right now, for a lot of beginners out there, there is something that I understand the purpose of, and I like that they're there. But there's something out there that's missing that I figured, you know what? This aspect is missing. So I'm going to throw my hat into this conversation. Who knows? It might be out there. I haven't found it. Maybe I want to start that conversation. So here it is. A lot of newer players, okay? A lot of newer players to D&D. And this has very little to do with how old you are. It has something to do with how old you are, but it has very little to do. Don't quite understand a couple of aspects of tabletop role-playing games. And there tends to be a huge disconnect between a new player and their GM. Okay, and there are a couple of phrases out there that I've been trying to address for the past couple of weeks. Like, one, play the game that you want to play. That is a great understanding, but it comes with, or it's a great idea, but there's a couple of root foundations, a couple of root ideas that don't get addressed in depth. Okay, and I wanted to get into that. See, I wanted to start by saying that tabletop role-playing games, as a whole, are a group and communicative effort. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you were born in the 90s, you've grown up with gaming and RPGs meaning something different from what they've meant from the 80s. The definition changed. And that change came with video games. Okay? Now, this isn't me being an old man going, these kids, they're video games messing up their mind. Stop. Back away from your keyboard. The video games became a great gateway into board games and tabletop role-playing. One of my favorite channels that kind of inspired that inspired this guy was they were really wise because they talk about RPG design, And they talk about one of the differences when you're designing a game, or one thing that new game designers should do, are play board games, because board games have immediate consequences to rule sets, and I believe that. I support that idea very much, but it doesn't matter if I didn't, because I'm not a game designer, and the people over at Extra Credits are, and I mean that is what they do. They do that for a living, and they know what they're talking about on that. But one of the things that video role-playing games did, and I think this was inadvertent, I'm going to choose to believe that it was inadvertent, is they turned the role-playing experience into a solo activity. And when a person is used to being by themselves, to being the only person involved that has to live with the consequences of their actions, thinking within a group context is interesting and a new set of skills. Now, playing a tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons is a group activity. And I like, since I started as an actor, I think of these things within the context of an ensemble cast, okay? In an ensemble cast, everyone on the cast gets their time to shine. They're there for a specific reason. And in a true ensemble cast, there is no singular main character, okay? A true ensemble cast would be Much Ado About Nothing, or what was it? Yeah, Much Ado About Nothing. Not 12th Night, because that very much had Viola, but A Midsummer Night's Dream, okay? There was no singular main character. There was Bottom's story, there was Titania's story, there was Oberon's story. In Much Ado About Nothing, it was about all three couples, and Dogberry, because I'm a Michael Keaton fan. But everyone had a pivotal part to play in that particular story, okay? But with video games and movies and a lot of television, most of the media that we ingest is really based on a main character. Now, this has an effect at the table and in our lives that we are not exactly privy to and aware of as it's affecting us, okay? As it's affecting us. And that is what I call main character syndrome. In most stories that we grew up with, knowing and loving and all that stuff, we don't know. We know who the main character is, and we know who the main character is. We know what purpose they serve, and we know what they're gonna do. The most common example is Star Wars. That the original trilogy was about Luke Skywalker. Everyone else was there to prop up Luke Skywalker. All right. Obi-Wan was Luke Skywalker's mentor. Princess Leia was first the love interest and then a supporting cast member. But the entirety of the original Tridge, although Lucas tried to say it was about the redemption of Vader, if it was about the redemption of Vader, then Vader would have had more scenes and more lines than everyone else. The Star Wars for the Next Generation, Harry Potter, the books had his name on them. Okay, that's the thing. The books had his name on them. Harry was the main character. So all the books was, this is what's going on in the world, and this is how it affects Harry. And when you play Legend of Zelda, you know, you're Link. When you play Super Mario Brothers, you're Mario. When you play The Witcher, you are The Witcher. You know, it's not about the group. So when you sit down at at a role-playing game, it's kind of difficult, necessary, but difficult to come out of to come out of that mindset, okay? To come out of this is the main character story. And why is that important? Well, I will explain why that's important. When you're at a role-playing table, you're playing 80%, there's an 80% chance that you are playing with a character that you created. This is your character. You know their backstory. You know their motivations. If you wrote any motivations, you know what they can do. You know where they're coming from. Like this is your darling, to use a creative writing term. All right. So when you're sitting at the table, since you are playing a character that you created, and you are in a story with that character that you created, that you know about, coming from a background of media that's all about, one, the main character and their story, and two, the main characters of these stories being insert characters, being self-insert characters for the reader or the watcher, such as Neo from The Matrix. That's you. Tarzan. That's you. Bella from Twilight. That's you. You know, all of these things that the audience can imprint their individual selves on. It's difficult to remember that you're not the only person at the table. Okay? You'll see hundreds, and I have counted hundreds of videos online that say that they'll tell you not to forget that you're the only person that you're not the only person at the table, but they don't say how, and they don't really delve into why we think, or we tend to fall into habits that make reminding yourself that you're not the only person at the table necessary. And that's what I want to talk about. I live in beautiful Southern California, land of ever sun. It's always sunny. Even when it rains, it only rains for like maybe 16 days out of the year, and the rest of it is sunny. We barely get clouds. Our seasons are summer, spring, earthquake, and fire. Don't ask about our avatar. It's very much it's a very beautiful place to live, but it's also one of the most self-centered places that there are in the country. And I'm just calling facts. All right. I love California. I love LA, but we're not exactly known globally for our depth or our sense of community. Okay. We're known for stars. We're known for art. We're known for Disneyland. We're not known for depth of friendships and good neighbors. I'm just calling it as we call it. So this is a town where everyone is looking out for themselves. Okay. And a lot of people I've known over the course of my life living in Southern California, they only liked media that they could identify with. Like, oh no, I identify with the main character, so it's a good story. Or, I love that book because the main character shares my name. You know? And it's not a character flaw. I'm not casting judgment. I'm just saying, I'm just calling a behavior as I see it. It is a self-centered behavior, as in a behavior that is centered on oneself. So when we sit down at the D&D table, it's really easy to to only see the story from our character's point of view, to look at the story as what would my character do, how would I run this character, and what does my character want, or how would they act on things, even if it leaves the other people at the table out to dry. Now this is me talking to a lot of new players about a lot of new players. All right, it's very easy. But understanding that you are part of an ensemble cast, okay? That the story is the adventure that all of you make together, brings a different dynamic to the experience as a whole. All right? It's very simple and very easy to play a character that looks all about them. Okay? It is really easy to play a character that's like, yep, I'm all about me. And that character splits the party. Hang on. Yep. Okay, cool. Hang on a minute. twitch.tv/BID_P. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no. Oh, I messed that up. twitch.tv/BID_P. Curse you. There we are. Yeah, so it's very easy to write a character, especially, let's face it, there are quite a few character types nowadays that have a lot, and I mean a lot of prominence in media, and that is the loner. The loner, the edgelord, the dude with the tragic backstory that doesn't really want to do all that stuff. There's a channel on YouTube called Overly Sarcastic Productions, and they have a great video on the loner. And the too long don't read version of what I got out of that was the loner character isn't as much about being alone as they are feeling alone. Okay? We can make loner characters all day. We can make the edgelord that, has a tragic past, and, they're looking to be, they're looking to take care of the broken, the beaten, and the damned. And they will be the conductors and the marching band within the Black Parade. But that being the case, why are they sitting at the table with 5 other people that want to go out and make the world a better place? That is a thing. But it's like, yeah, I want to make the Wolverine because Wolverine is edgy and Wolverine is this, or I'm going to make the Batman and they're this. And it's like, if we focus on making the character trait feeling as though they were alone, instead of playing them to be alone, no parents, then that goes a lot longer and a lot deeper into the group activity that is role-playing games. All right. Now this is a really big thing, and some people are going, well, duh, like you might think. Okay, but put yourself in the perspective of a brand new player. Okay, and they want to play. Actually, let's see. It's 2021. Yeah. They want to play the edgy character from the popular anime, which name that I don't know at the moment. Or they want to play Deadpool, or they want to play Wolverine, or they want to play Batman, because who doesn't want to be the Batman? It's a great idea, it's a great idea. But they get caught up on playing Deadpool in the Deadpool comic, and not Deadpool in someone else's comic. They want to play. Sorry, the chat is just going off today, and I'm loving you guys. We've got talking, saying Bruce Wayne doesn't even want to be Batman. I mean, come on, I'm just saying. Like, who doesn't want to be Batman? Bruce Wayne. And Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman. And Clark Kent doesn't want to be Batman. So there's a lot of people that don't want to be Batman. But they make these characters that are very based on loners or based on loose cannons and stuff like that. And they forget that they are in a group activity. Now, what are the downfalls to this? Well, if you play a loose cannon, you do a lot of things that are detrimental to the party in the name of staying within character. The old, it's what my character would do. My character wouldn't do this. My character wouldn't do that. It's like, okay, then why did you write this character for a group? You know, the characters in a group. Now, that doesn't mean that every group needs to be sunshine and rainbow, sunshine and lollipops, rainbows everywhere. No. Not at all, my friends. But the underlying core is that within the game, you are either playing a group of friends or a group of coworkers that aren't gonna quit their job. And I don't mean the mission, I mean the group, okay? Because quitting the group or winning the game means that you're not gonna be playing with these people anymore. And is that really what you created this character to be? You know? So how do we get this? Well, it's really simple. It's really simple because I'm all about, well, knowing all that is fine, but what do we do with it? My first suggestion, especially for new players, is if you are creating a character based on a popular property that you like. If you want to be Spider-Man, go ahead and be Spider-Man. Okay? Go ahead. If you want to be Edgelord from anime series that you like, let's say Vampire Hunter D. I know I'm old, stop it. Go ahead and make that character. But don't make the character based on their solo adventures. Okay? One of, I guess you can call it an anime, but it's not made in Japan and all that stuff, but that's a good example of this is Castlevania. The Netflix series, okay? The Belmont Disgraced Vampire Hunter, along with Alucard, Son of Dracula, they're both edgy loner characters, but they work together. They work well together. They may always fight. They may always get into verbal altercations and arguments, but they're a team and they're trying to accomplish a goal. Okay? And that goal is more important than how cool they would seem to the audience. The audience being the player that's playing them and us that are watching. I am a moderate fan of Wolverine. Okay? I like Wolverine. Fine enough. He's an alright character. And yeah, he's dark, he's edgy, he's the best he is at what he does, and what he does ain't pretty, bub. You know, but when he is in his solo comic, that's where he goes through his existential terrors and the angst that determines his character, be it his bad relationships, his history in Japan, his constant fighting with Sabretooth or Victor Creed or whoever it is that the writers are making him write at that particular time. All right, that's a real thing. Okay, but when Wolverine is in an X-Men comic, he's part of the X-Men, and Gambit shines, and Psylocke shines, and Scott Summers, Cyclops, shines. Like everybody else gets their time, along with Wolverine. But it's not just about that edgy character, okay? Wolverine does a lot of things that are uncharacteristically Wolverine when he's part of the X-Men. And that's not because writers are lazy. It's because playing a character to the hilt within a group context is a lot more it makes the story easier for the bad guy to win. Okay? It really is. I think back to one of my favorite cartoons. And that's the Justice League. Okay, the Justice League that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was my jam. Okay, that was my jam, dog. That was my jam. That was totally my jam. That was my show. Watched every episode multiple times. Got the DVDs. Watch it on the DC streaming thing and on HBO Max. Love me the Justice League. But you know what was interesting about that show was that Superman didn't solve everything by himself. Now, they wrote him that way to make sure that he couldn't, okay? And it's very difficult, especially as a creative. That cynic in the back of our heads that go, well, why didn't the Flash just? Why didn't the Martian Manhunter just? Why didn't Charles Xavier just? Why doesn't my character just? Okay? And there are a plethora of answers to that question. Okay? A plethora of answers. Sometimes the characters don't think about it. Sometimes to do so would take attention from everybody else that's there. And I will tell you, having been privy to, and I haven't actually taken over an entire gaming session for my own purposes to my knowledge, but having been in many rooms, in many games where a player makes the game all about them to the point where they'll split the party to get their way, things become very difficult because you've got 6 people sitting in a room to watch 2 of them interact while the other 4 are waiting their turn, you know? Except their turn never comes because the player that is doing everything is ignoring the core idea that this is a group activity. All right? So how do we get around this? Well, one of the ways that I try to encourage my players to do is to take time with your GM. This is preferentially done at session 0. Okay? Take time with your GM. And if you guys are using this for writing tips, take time in your outlining process to ask yourself as the author, and this is for your characters too, a couple of questions. And one of these questions is the most important question that you will ask whether you're writing fiction, watching fiction. This is like Media Savvy 101, okay? And that is, what does your character want long term? Okay? If you're writing an adventure story, you know, you have to ask yourself, looking back on standard media, all right? What does Indiana Jones want long term? Well, long term, Indy wants to retire, teach classes, and save the world from its own ignorance, i.e., Indy wants the truth. Indy wants the people to know the truth. That's why he goes searching for these artifacts. You know, be it the idol of the Rolling Stone Ball, or drop something. Hang on. Be it the idol of the Rolling Stone Ball, the Crystal Skull. That is what Indy wants. Or from time to time, Indy will get called by someone else for help. But at the end of the day, he wants to teach his classes and pretty much live a regular old life. Okay? But that call to adventure keeps pulling him back in. That's what he wants. You know? At the end of the day, Harley Quinn wants a family, preferably with the Joker. You know, but she also wants it on her own terms. But even when she's working with the Birds of Prey, the Suicide Squad, she recognizes that she's on a team, and that everyone that she's dealing with on that team is also an individual that has their stuff. So one of the big things that comes down to it is when you create your character, you have to ask yourself, what does my main character want? And does what they want interact well within a group setting? And if the answer is no, then the next question is, well, how do we fix that? Okay? If you're running a game of all rogues, okay, or you're writing, say, a pirate story, and I say pirate story because rogues is the example that just came to my mind. You can write a heist game, or you can write rogues for a heist game. What was it? Wizards of the Coast released a heist scenario when they first released 5th edition. And yeah, I mean, it literally is a heist where you are literally you're either trying to steal something or you're trying to prevent something from getting stolen. Okay? But looking back at popular media that we can draw inspiration from, we've got Lupin the Third, for you old school anime heads out there, or new school French Nouveau film heads out there. And you've got things like Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, they're all pirates. You know, that's what they are. They are all pirates. And pirates want to steal stuff, sail around the world, and play tree fort with their buddies. You know, is there intrigue? Yes. Is there backstabbing? Yes. But if you notice in these stories, when the intrigue happens and the backstabbing happens, the characters that do the backstabbing are no longer part of the main crew unless circumstances make them so. One of my favorite examples of this is the first black dude, Happy February, to ever be in the Star Wars franchise. Good old Lando Calrissian. Okay? Lando betrayed the party, essentially by what would be considered his first appearance, like his first session in this group, and he sold them out to the Empire. Spoilers for a movie that is older than most of you. And that in and of itself, not cool, but it's a real thing. So yeah, but when Lando betrayed the party and sold them out, and freaking Han was locked in carbonite at the end of the movie. Yeah, massive spoilers, but it's been 40 years, guys. Come on. God, I sound like Job from Arrested Development. Come on. Yeah. He was no longer welcome into the party until he earned his way back. You know, and that happened by the end of the movie after Chewie almost choked him to death. And over the course of the in-between books, you know. So if you're going to play a character that betrays the party, it's on you to understand that it's not the party's job to let you keep coming back. These are things to think about when you create these characters. I like the type of characters that are like, I'm all about me. I'm all about me. I'm all about my job. I'm all about my tribe. Now this leads to a trope, and tropes aren't bad, okay? but it leads to the trope of, well, fine, you guys are now my tribe. You see what I mean? It's, you're now my tribe, since I'm all about my tribe. And being all about my tribe means I don't leave this geographic location. But you guys are now my tribe. That is a big thing. That was a particular trope that was played very, very well with the surprising films from the Marvel franchises, Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, a group of rogues who were all about themselves. They were all about themselves. They all had their own motivations. And then they teamed up and they became a family, you know? And you get the same with things like Firefly. You know, there's a lot of stories out there where a bunch of loners team up together, they make room for each other, and then they come out to be a pretty compelling group of lovable rascals. Okay? But the only way to do this is to understand that everybody who's trying to play wants to have a good time too. And let's be real, it is very rarely a good time to sit around, watch and comment on how cool someone else is. Okay? If you guys are wondering, here we go. Hey, look, it's my little guy. Oh, yeah, just got to do his glasses and stuff. But yeah. So yeah, this is a little guy. This is going to be going out to our $20 a month patrons. Yay, look at this. And of course, next month, there will be a different color turtleneck. But yeah, this is just fun. I don't know. I'm very happy with little fun things. I'm so easily amused. Even though Kurt Cobain wished he was like me. Zing! Easily amused. It's a music joke, okay? So these are some of the things that have to come out there. Now, how do we apply this to the lives that we live? Honestly, it's super easy. When you are in any group setting, it doesn't matter if you're at the workplace, if you are part of a cast in a play. It really doesn't matter where you come from or where you're at. If you are somewhere other than locked inside a very small area, then there are other people around. And even if things are meant to feel like they're all about you, keep in mind that life in and of itself is very game-like in the sense of we have our stories. You know, we have the stories that we are living, the plots that we are going through. And all of those plots affect us as we are our characters. Okay? And we may be the star of our own story, but our story isn't the only one being told, nor is it the only story that we are ever going to interact with. You know, and this is a really important thing. When we understand that we are the star of our own story and part of the supporting cast of the stories that other people are living, if we make room for their stories in the same way that we want our characters to make room for other people's stories, things tend to go a lot smoother, and a lot of aspects of life become more fun. Much more fun. I know many people. I know a whole lot of people. And I know a lot of people who have suffered a lot of emotional scarring. No, I'm not naming names. A lot of people who suffered a lot of emotional scarring, specifically by their parents, um, because their parents were more concerned about themselves than they were about their children. The idea of what will the neighbors think of me? Not what will the neighbors think in general, but what will the neighbors think of me if they see this? If a child is acting a certain way, what will the neighbors think of me as a parent? If I go through an emotional thing, like, my significant other dies and I'm crying in public, what will the neighbors think of me? And not how can I be there for my kids. And a lot of neighbors look at folks like that and go, well, how can this situation make me feel better about myself, instead of offering compassion, instead of offering care. Okay. This is sad, but a very real thing that happens, and it's caused a lot of scarring. Okay. It's turned a lot of people into the edgelords, into the I work alone, I feel alone, darkness, no parents, I get it. I totally get it. But one of the big things that I adore about the hobby of role-playing, and I mean this with so many fibers of my being, you can make a sweater from it, is it allows us the opportunity and the space to examine situations as we want them to be, as we wanted them to be, and not how they turned out. That's one of my favorite parts of fiction. One of my favorite parts of escapism as a whole is we get the chance to live out the scenario of being who we want it to be, instead of who we've ended up being due to circumstances in life. And there might be some people out there going, oh, you poor snowflake, blah, 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 grow up, blah, blah, blah. To them, I say, dude, put those cards back in the deck. Okay, put them back in the deck. Everybody. Everybody has something about their life that they're not super jazzed about. And of course, some older folks I know would be like, well, then you just man up, you deal with it, and you don't talk about it, and blah, 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 blah. And for you guys, if that works for you, cool. You have fun with that. For a lot of us, that don't work. Okay? A lot of us play these games to entertain the ideas of what we could have been. Some of us to entertain the ideas of what we still can be. Or to think about a time and a place where things aren't the way they are. Because for a lot of us, the way things are terrible. And that's through no actions and no fault of our own. And if anybody wants to tell you, well, then you just man up and deal with it and all that stuff, you don't have to confront them. You don't have to yell and scream at them. You don't even have to fight them on those levels, okay? Because they watch TV. They go to the movies, and if they like sports, it ain't them out there watching, but you don't gotta throw it in their face. Just be aware. They have their escapism, you have yours, and if they try and tell you that you're less than because your escapism is different from theirs, just move on with your day. And realize that we engage in these hobbies for reasons that are all our own. Okay, we have our own reasons, we have our own thought processes, we have our own. All right, but when you're at the table and you're dealing with other people, understand that our job as people is a tough one. Our job is to be who we want to be instead of who we think we have to be, because it's what we've seen. You know, when I'm in a lot of arguments with people and I talk about how displeased I am with their behavior, I'm told a lot, well, this is what I've always done, this is what's always been done to me, yada yada and yada yada. And I'm going, okay, that may be the case. But when it was happening to you, did that make you happy? And if it didn't make you happy, did it make you grow? You know, were you better? Are you better because of it? I asked that question because a lot of people love to repeat these things. They repeat what they have seen done. Okay? And yeah, this totally relates to today's subject. All right? Because we've talked about the essence of learning, the processes of learning. By the way, we're good. Yay, 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 So this guy can go on my desk and he'll be good, but he'll get pictures and all that other stuff. We've talked about a lot of these things on the essence of learning, where however we learn something tends to be the way that we think it is in total. Okay? If you take a martial arts class, the way that you learn to punch from Kung Fu is going to be the way that you think all punching is done. Okay? And you can see this in a lot of arguments that come down online. You know? The people that are poised to go, no, you're doing it wrong, or they're doing it wrong. And it's like, all right, dude, just take a breath, you know, relax for half a second, just half a second. Where what they're saying, you know, the message that they may wish to convey is, you are not doing it the way that I know to do it. Or, I'm afraid that if you do it that way, you will not accomplish your goal. Those are the best case scenarios. Some folks are just like, nope, the way I do it is the right way to do it. And if you don't do it the right way, then you are blah, 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 blah. You know, and yeah, I say blah, 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 because a lot of the times I don't even want to engage with those thought processes. I don't know if it's character flaw, but it makes me happy to not really entertain a lot of that stuff. But one thing that I definitely can tell you is that a lot of the ways that we learn how to do stuff tends to be the way that we think it's supposed to be done, right? So when we see something done differently, sometimes it takes us by surprise. Now, I did some investigation, and my old primary gaming group is not a gaming group that revolves around a whole lot of trust. And I say this because a lot of them don't want to play any game where any player even has the opportunity to cheat. Okay? Example, I was talking to one friend of mine about the game Deadlands. And I'm like, yeah, this looks like a fun little system to play, and we can do a lot of cool stuff with it. And they're like, because this person that's part of our gaming group knows how to do card tricks. And since they know how to do card tricks, that means they know how to palm things. And since they know how to palm things, I don't want to give them the opportunity to cheat. Oh, no. Cool. Yeah, no, off talking. Have fun with Shadowrun and Traveler. We'll talk about other games like that. But yeah, and when they start playing games like that, if someone has the chance to do something that they don't have control over, there's a lot of trust. And I learned that they did this because they played for a long time with a dungeon master that was always trying to out clever them. So it became this battle of wills between GM and players. This battle of will, battle of clever. So I get where a lot of that came from. One thing that I'm putting out there is a lot of people come into, and this is how we circle it all the way around where we start. See, we have a good conversation. The people who play games as though they are singular characters and everyone else are tertiary or not important or NPCs learned these concepts by reading media and by playing video games. And again, video games are big on it. They've got to be big on it just because of the nature of the medium. You are the driver of the story, the main character, and the entire reason that the story is happening. Your actions have direct consequence on the story and the world. That is the nature of a video game. Okay? And with that change of language that came down, most people equate role-playing games with video games. So they approach their character at the table as they would at the console. All right? So the easiest way to get past this is for the GMs and the other players to remind everyone at the table that this is not a console game. They're not playing a video game. In fact, the base mechanics and a lot of the core stuff is very video game-like. But the themes and the essence of it is very different. Because the settings and all that stuff, unlimited budget. The imagination can imagine anything. And I've yet to find a pencil or a pen that says, you can't write this word, it's too big a concept. All right? And that is one of the coolest ideas. One of the coolest things and one of my favorite parts to it. I love, most role-playing games in one way or another are like sandbox RPGs, except instead of a sandbox, it's on a beach. And that's very big. That can be kind of intimidating. But that's why we have teams. That's one of the main reasons that we do stuff in group settings. Now there are some solo campaigns. There are some campaigns and the GM can always rewrite something to fit a singular character. And that idea is really up to the GM and the players in question. But even though that is possible, it is not a fair request to make when there are other people sitting in the room. Okay? So, play fair, be good. All that stuff, you know? I'm gonna check out the chat real quick. Let's see what you guys are talking about here today. Man, Afatagan was he was on a tear today. Johnny Cash had a song about a kid who got killed by cops after robbing a store, and their drunk father was more concerned with it being on the news. Yep, that whole bad parenting thing. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. All right. Yeah, Shadowrun stuff to figure out. Fantastic, man. Play with all that. So just to go over today's subjects, being fair to the other people involved requires remembering that even if it's your project or your thought or your assignment, as soon as other people get brought in to it for any reason, they are now part of the equation. They are factors. Now, I forget which philosopher it was, but one of their major things is apply the principle that you're talking about right now as though it would apply to everyone on Earth. This is important because let's play out both of these scenarios. All right. Scenario one. Everyone creates loner characters and they do what they are going to do. How does that manifest its way at the table? Well, one major way that it manifests itself at the table is you get the characters that do what they're going to do. But do they cooperate? Do they solve anything as a team? Not nearly as much as all of them being super busy doing what they are going to do. In a lot of games, a lot of scenarios, this leads to 9 hours of dominance conflict. Well, I'm going to do this. Well, I want you to do this. Well, I'm going to do this. Well, we need you to do this. I'm going to do this. And that's just with one character. When you have 4 people on the board, splitting the party in 3 different ways because they're all going to do what they're going to do. Oh, I'm just gonna attack the character. Okay, you have a session where it's player versus player, but every session, if the core understanding is that we've gotten together for a group activity, all right, and not an activity of 6 different people each doing individual things with no relation to the others. All right, that is really what it comes down to. Because you've got your rogue going, I'm going to sneak in and stab it, but your paladin going, I'm going to go up to it and punch it, and your wizard going, okay, can we talk about this? And your bard going, hey, can we talk about this? And your wizard going, I'm going to turn him into a lawn chair. When you think about it cinematically and see how all that plays out, it gets weird, especially if 1 or 2 people with their intentions end up failing. It might be fun every once in a while. And again, if those are the types of games that you like playing, feel free, have at it, go for it. If these are the types of games that you don't like playing in, but you can't avoid being around them because of a lack of understanding from players that this is a group activity, then this video is for you. Primarily, remembering that we're part of a group, we're doing a thing, and we are all down for a group activity. It's funny. The word that applies here applies to lots of different things, but the first place that we equate it to is music, and that word is band. This is a band, okay? And if you think about it, when a band is locked in and they're working with each other and playing off of each other, you got good stuff, okay? You've got the Metallicas and Tools and Earth, Wind & Fire and Isley Brothers and, you've got those guys, you've got the E Street Band, you've got Kansas, but when you've got 5 people, one is singing what they feel like singing, one is drumming what they feel like drumming, one is playing whatever bass line they feel like playing, and one is playing guitar solos for however long, and then you throw in a rapper there, and they're all doing what they want to do at the same time. You don't have a band. You just have this modge podge of stuff. Okay, you've got all these different people. And if you were in the audience, is that a band that you would actually stick around and watch for any reason other than to watch it fall apart? Or would this be the time when you would go to the bathroom or go to the bar and order a drink? I mean, that's really the question, so give that a question. Now, give that some thought, because again, we're looking at a band of adventurers, a band of bounty hunters, a band of thieves, a band of warriors for righteousness. The Justice League plays out like a band. The X-Men plays out like a band. Now, there's going to be fight over who the band leader is, always. But when it comes down to playing the game, are the instruments in sync? Or are they all soloing at the same time, regardless of key, tempo, and time signature? Okay? So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And when you're sitting down at the table, the solutions, the main solutions, are to, this is where you take notes, figure out what your character ultimately wants and how to work with the GM and the other players to go there. Okay? What is your character's overall motivation? Second, why is this character with this band? Why are they in the band? And do they want to quit? If they want to quit the band, do they? Because you always have the choice of writing another character or not playing. These are both options, but you're not locked in to playing the characters that you wrote in this game that way. Maybe you've written a character that's good for solo adventures between you and the DM. Maybe you've written a character that wants to be reached out to. That's fine to talk to other players about it. It's fine to talk to the GM about it. But if you've created a character that don't play well with others and who refuses to learn how to play well with others, who refuses to recognize that they're in a band, or who won't make the group their new tribe, then it may be time to write another character or find another gaming group. Because again, it's very difficult to run those things and have fun that isn't at the expense of everyone else at the table. And if playing that character that way is the only way that you can have fun with it, if the GM allows it, then the other players at the table won't have fun. And if they don't allow it, then you're not going to have fun. So give that some thought. And never forget, music, bands, everything is a group project. And if you created a character that wants to beat the system, cool. Do they have to beat the system alone? Can they? The whole reason that the Justice League continues to exist is because no singular member of the Justice League can handle threats that are Justice League level by themselves. They handle the stuff that they can do in their solo books. I mean, that's just the whole thing. We're talking a different Superman in Justice League. We're talking a different Batman in Justice League, or a different Wolverine in X-Men, and a different Deadpool in X-Force. Okay? So think about those aspects of your character and think about why they are working in groups and what they can do in the groups that they can't do by themselves, and how to make those things happen. And you'll find that it may lead, more often than not, to a more harmonious tabling session. So thank you guys for joining me today. If you guys have anything to say about the stuff that we talked about today, I would love to hear it. All you got to do is pull up your email and send me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. Sign up on Deckers on the Book on Facebook. Drop me a line on social media at backinthedeck. As you can see, we are getting a whole bunch of stuff together. The Patreon perks, the merch store, we're redesigning the website, and we're here on Twitch 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Our shows are normally an hour. Today we went a little over because there was a lot of stuff I had to talk to you guys about, and I didn't just want to make this whole thing begging. Speaking of begging, if you guys want to help us out, you can do so in a lot of ways. The easiest, fastest, and free way is to subscribe to us here on Twitch using your Amazon Prime account. Just go subscribe, and it'll be like, hey, do you want to do that for free? And then you'll be like, yes, because I ain't got no money to spend, and all that jazz. And honestly, if I can get 20 or 30 people to do that, that would go a long way into replacing gear when it falls down, to paying people for data recovery, for all that stuff. And the other stuff, if you are rolling in it a little bit, just head on over to Back in the Deck, or Patreon's Back in the Deck's Patreon at patreon.com/bid_p, and become a decker for as little as $1 a month. Again, every little bit takes the weight off of me trying to find money to pay for gear and all that stuff. We have cool stuff happening at the $1 and $5 places, which I'm kind of digging, are cool. Again, now that we finished that up for today, yep, we're putting this little guy, this is going to be a keychain when I put the little dongle in his head. We're putting these guys on the $5 tier. So even at the $5 tier, everybody's getting something kind of neat. I'm liking these guys. But yeah, at the starting at the $5 tier, there's going to be material goods that people can come in. There's also going to be a web store whenever I can get that up. I've been working on it 3 years, so if you want the stuff, hit Patreon. And at the royalty tier, starting at $20 a month, you get shout outs and everything that comes on that tier and below. Like the big guy here. Yeah, look at that. I'm so happy with this guy. Oh, he is so cute. And again, this guy and the Cinematic Sorcerer miniature, and just a lot of different stuff, along with polls. And one of the biggest perks that I wanted to point out at the $20 a month stage and higher is that you have the, what is the term I'm looking for? Priority with me to send me an email, ask me about a game that you want to learn or that you were interested in. And then I go out, I buy said game, and I learn how to play it, and I teach you how to play it, and we see what's difficult about it and whether or not you should spend your money. So, we got that stuff going. And again, that's at $20 and higher. And again, if you can't afford anything, I totally understand. Just please subscribe to us using your Amazon thing so that doesn't cost any money. And those are the ways that you can help us keep the doors open. If you've got any other questions or comments, want to talk to me about stuff we've talked about in other shows, that's cool. Just, again, head on over, drop an email to backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. I'm actually working on getting a Solar Gray at backinthedeck.com email, working on that. And again, just drop us a line, join Deckers on the Book. I'm on that all the time. I want to thank a lot of the people that were here today. Shout outs to the people that are in the chat who had the time to make it down today, like Bree Bear, Clever Vixen, Commander Root, Afatagan, Miracles of Minimum Wage. All you guys, thank you very much for showing up and being part of. And if anybody tells you guys that you are not welcomed or you don't know what you're doing because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, your disability, or your budget, you just tell them that we said to take those cards and put them back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for joining me today on the dark side of the room.